Commence primary ignition.
Here with you guys. Love hearing that music.
Why'd we see the sail barge?
So great to be back with you. I'm here with Chris Reif from our design team and Chris Jernigan from Lucasfilm. Again, my name's Patrick. I'm on our Hasbro marketing team. Let's keep the magic going. Let's keep this excitement going. So we just had a fantastic brand panel. Hope that you were able to join us there. Some fantastic new reveals, a special guest in Mark Boudreau. But we are keeping the excitement going, and we're actually going to ramp it up to 11 here, previously untold levels. It's going to be great. We are launching our next Star Wars Haslab campaign. So we told you guys about this about 3 months ago, I believe in June. The only thing you know is that it's going to be a vintage collection item, but it's going to be revealed today. And in like 5 to 10 minutes, you'll know what it is.
5 to 10 minutes.
The campaign will be live. It's going to be amazing. And we're so excited to take you guys through it.
So it's going to go live
as you guys
here
know,
on the stream.
Haslab
That's crazy.
Started with Star Wars back in 2018. And we can put some images up there of the barge. The barge launch was fantastic. Fans, you guys have been really pushing us in a great way for the barge for years. It's exactly what Haslab was designed for. It was revealed at New York Toy Fair in 2018. And again, it was so great to have Mark with us on the brand panel because it was one of his swan songs. He had a lot, but this was certainly one of them. As backers know, if you were on with us for that ride, it was a fun campaign. We'll say fun. It had some twists and turns, but we surged at the end. We beat our goal for that initial Haslab launch by nearly 2 times. We had nearly 9,000 total backers at the end. And in the end, it was an amazing final product. Really, you can see the final barge there. Really a cornerstone to the line. Great packaging you're seeing there. So we loved that barge campaign. We were so excited. It obviously launched Haslab as a platform for Hasbro. And we're excited that, it's coming home to Star Wars. And we get to be with you to launch our next campaign, which is going to be even better. We're so excited. So that was a great, nice little trip down memory lane. I'm sure we all love seeing the barge and reliving that magic. But you guys came here for the big reveal, the big new information, months of speculation and wondering, and now let's roll that film and tell the fans what it is.
Woo! Razor fucking Crest. Woo! Okay, holy shit. Bigger than the Falcon? Bigger than the Falcon. Wow. Oh. Whoa. Done. Let's make her beautiful, guys. Woo!
Yeah, I love it. It's not quite the same leading a round of applause with only yourself in your living room as it would be at a convention, but but I'm just too excited. My son upstairs is wondering what's going on, but that's amazing. We have been, working on this for months. We've been so excited. Everyone's so excited. Even you can see even the backer image on this live stream is so excited. It switched from that Imperial hanger to the Mandalorian background. So we're so excited. We hope you're excited. We're going to talk about this. Chris Reif and then Chris Dern. Do you guys want to talk about kind of the journey that led us to this item?
Yeah, absolutely. This has been so exciting to work on, and everyone out there is clearly as excited about the new Star Wars HasLab as we were. I mean, when we just teased it, all this crazy speculation that was happening, it was awesome. Yeah. And some of those ideas you guys were throwing out were things we had tossed around ourselves, but it kind of made itself clear what the next HasLab should be to us when we saw that season 1 Mandalorian stuff happening. And Chris, you can probably talk to that even a little better than I can.
Oh yeah, I mean it's having worked on the barge. I mean, I'm gonna have to find another room to put all these large vehicles in, just because I'm running out of space.
Well,
but I mean, this is incredible.
The display room. That'll be the next HasLab.
It's true. It's the amazing thing about it is it's simply going from the barge, going to this, working on this for several months, like you pointed out, Chris. It's really fun to share now with the fans, what we've been working on and the excitement behind it. So I mean, I'm just thrilled that we can actually talk about it and share the details and really continue Mark's legacy. We've all had the chance to work with Mark over the many years and continue his visions and his vehicles and his expectations with detail into the vehicles that we worked on him with in the past. So it's always going to Vicky's point earlier, it's always going to have a little bit of Mark and all of these things that we work on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Fantastic. Well, I think we wanted to bring fans kind of just remind them kind of what it was like a year and a half ago when we saw the Razor Crest, in that first trailer for the first time, basically, and just kind of recapture some of that magic. When we saw this trailer for the first time, we saw that vehicle and we were like, we got to get that into the line. So friends up in the booth, can we roll that Mando Season 1 trailer?
Bounty hunting is a complicated profession. Don't you agree?
That's awesome. I love that quote from Warner Herzog about bounty hunting. It never gets old. So yeah, it's interesting. Like season 2's coming up, and we're so excited about that. But I hadn't seen that trailer in a while, and it reminds me just how amazing that hit all of us. As obviously classic Star Wars, but something new and exciting. So those were great trips down memory lane. The Barge in 2018, season 1 trailer last year, but you guys came to dive deep on the Razor Crest. So the next, 10, 15, 20 minutes or so, we've got a lot of different rendered images that we want to share to kind of dive deep into the details. So we're just going to basically put up a bunch of images, talk to them, and talk about this vehicle. So here's the first one. Obviously, that beauty shot, that 3 3/4 inch view. So you can see it's a big vehicle. So it's one of the largest vehicles we've ever done in the Vintage Collection. It is 30 inches long, 20 inches wide and 10.5 inches tall. And Chris Reif, can you tell us a bit about the detail we're seeing here?
Yeah, it is insanely detailed. I mean, the just panel lines and missing pieces and everything else. This thing is the toy that I wanted, and it's in no small part due to our partnership with Lucasfilm, and Chris can lead us into that a little bit. But just the assets that we were able to get, and that ILM and Lucasfilm worked with us really close to make this thing happen. So,
yeah, we were really fortunate. Industrial Lights and Magic provided the working 3D files of this vehicle, and they were to scale. So we had some challenges to get it down to our 3 3/4 inch scale. So there's a lot of considerations that had to go into play, but great resources for this item. It's been fantastic working with our image unit team, working with our filmmakers to really make this happen and capture a whole new level of detail in vehicle.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and you can really see a lot of those details.
Oh, sorry, go ahead, Chris.
The cannons, all those details on the back deck, all that stuff. It's detail that you don't even see in the show. It just kind of is there, but we get to really throw that into this thing. So like the engines there, you can see some asymmetry, the guns, like some great stuff like that. And Patrick, you can walk us through how that's kind of been a consistent theme with Star Wars toys in the past too, right? I mean,
absolutely. Yeah. One of the things we loved about this and love about all the toys is there's just this great heritage of Star Wars toys kind of, fleshing out the details. Obviously, the vehicle kind of flies by you on the screen, but it's great. I know I've loved having my barge and just being able to kind of dig into that. And there's some off-screen stuff, which is great as well. Like, in the barge, and we had the Imperial Troop Transport, which was a Mark Boudreau creation, 40 some years ago that came into entertainment, and it's just great. We love seeing the interplay between the entertainment and the toys, and yeah, a product like this, I don't even want to call it a toy. It's not really a toy. It just really allows you to study the details of the universe. So those are kind of our beauty shots from the outside, but let's dive into the details. This is the vintage collection. We kept this vehicle to those standards, and it's got a ton of features and finger foods. So Chris Reif, talk to us about this image we're seeing here.
Yeah, I think the first thing everybody just jumped out of their chair was the character sitting in there. And I think you're going to tell us a little bit about him more in a second here too. But
yep.
And you can really see like some of the intricacies we got into on this thing. So we can go on to the next slide and pop that canopy off there and get a little better look inside. But everything down to like, it's got the 3 seats, obviously, so you can carry your buddies around with you if you want to go on adventures. That fully just detailed and decked out cockpit with the control panels and all that stuff. But obviously the centerpiece there in this image is that figure. Yeah. So Patrick?
That figure. Yeah, so let's talk about that figure. So we are excited to get a new Mandalorian into the vintage line. So this is, in fact, you can see the armor is different from that previous release. It's got that new shoulder pauldron, that new chest plate. So that does make this, in fact, the Mandalorian in his Beskar armor. We're so excited for that character, that version of the character, to make to the vintage collection. Now, before anyone gets worried about that, he will be in mainline later. Obviously, we want you all to back the Razor Crest, but he will be in mainline. But there is a difference. In mainline, he'll have a molded plastic cape. But obviously, if you would try fitting a figure with a plastic cape into this cockpit, it wouldn't work. So this release of the Mandalorian and Beskar armor will have an exclusive soft goods cape. Obviously, he's got to fit into that cockpit and pilot this thing. So we're excited about the figure, and we're going to, show you more imagery later in the campaign, but it's a great first look now. So Chris Reif, let's take a look at the next image, and what are we seeing here?
Yeah, this is just a nice orthographic view of the left side of the ship, but like another great view of the engine detail and just all that panel line and greeblies. Like, I mean, it's a kind of an ILM term or a special effects industry term, but it's about all that surface detail and like just the little tiny bits and pieces that make it feel extra real. So see that here, but you can probably see some slightly larger panel lines there at the side entrance. So if we pop that open, yeah, you get a great look at how the side entrance there folds down, like little hydraulics that slide up and down in the door and along the tracks. The little front of the ramp pulls out. So just like in the show, all that great detail. And then if we move on to the next one, we get a good view at the back here. Again, more Greeblies, that all that super fine detail down in those little pits on the back of the ship, and looking into the backside of the engines there, just all that really immersive detail that is something that was really extra possible because of the level of access we had to files and working to match that stuff to ILM's assets for the show. But again, you can see a little extra bigger panel line there, and pop, it opens up the whole back ramp up into the back of the ship. Again, the little hydraulic pieces move up and down, sliding little tracks as you open that back door. You can really see up inside there and start to see some of the little bit better detail that we're going to get to here. So again, this one is just a zoomed in view up in the cargo hold of the ship. So you can see there on the left some of the great cargo that will come with this, some backpacks and all that extra detailing on the surfaces of the ship. But then up there in the front, you see even crazier, over the top, super detailed, little, what do we call it, a refresher area. I mean, everybody's got to evacuate at least once the solstice, I guess. But, and then the little bunk area over there on the right, and you can even see a little tab there that's your access tab to get into a little hidden cargo stash area underneath the bunk. So.
Yeah. You can also see there in the foreground, you can see that carbon freeze chamber, obviously important for any vehicle. And you can kind of see the weapons locker there on the right. And about that weapons locker, so here's a view, standing outside the ship and looking in. And, you didn't think we'd mold that shut, did you? Absolutely not. So Chris, Reif, what are we seeing here?
Oh, we are seeing every weapon that's in the Mandalorian's weapons locker on the ship from season 1. It is intense, and each one of those things is a separate part that you can take out, play with your other figures, or pose with your other figures with, and just study the detail on these things. I encourage people to do that, because the lengths we went to make sure the details on even these tiny little vintage collection blasters were right is just, it's over the top, and a very special place in my heart for that sort of detail in this thing. So
Absolutely.
Just extra craziness.
Yeah. Our next image. So you've seen this next feature in some of the other images, but obviously a vehicle like the Razor Crest needs some landing gear. So you can see that in action here, and then on our next image. So Chris Reif, talk to us about this.
Yeah. So I mean, this is going to be a big, heavy ship, and the gear in it is important. I mean, you got to have it displayed nicely. So the gear in here are great, super heavy duty, but show accurate too. They pull out of little slots, and then all the little landing gear doors are hinged and pivot to close up. So you can still take this thing out on flight adventures through your backyard if you really wanted to, pose it other ways, hang it from your bedroom, however you want to play.
Absolutely.
Here's another quick view. This is of the kind of the top, the tail deck of the thing on the top. And it's another one of those things that, because of the detail we had, a great detail that's in the concept art and in the files from ILM that we didn't get to see in the show. And that's, if we go on to the next one, you pop off a little panel there.
Yeah, the cannons.
And there is a rear firing gun that pivots around in the back of the Razor Crest. And it's another one of those great details where you can pull it up, swivel it side to side, and really kind of immerse yourself in the show and in the ship that way.
Absolutely. Awesome. So it's got those removable panels. You can see them from this side. And then what do we have going on in the view from the other side, right?
Oh, this is just even more, like, look at those details. You can see through the ship where you can see the little black spaces where the panels are removed from the other side. On this side of the ship, the whole left side of the ship comes off. We did that so that you can really get in there and access the cargo hold area and pose figures, take like really nice photos of the thing, just to kind of really immerse yourself in that ship. And it's one of those things where we just want the experience of taking panels off the engines and all that stuff to really just kind of explore this thing in a way that you can't in any other form. It's one of the great things about product like this, where it's big and you can just immerse yourself in those details and discover new things. But you can probably see that the cargo area there is a little lit up, And I think we're going to let Chris talk to you a little bit about that and kind of that exploration. So,
yeah, I mean, it's detail, right? Detail. We it was super easy, right, Chris? I mean, we didn't.
Oh yeah.
So we had a lot of conversations about where we can add detail. Maybe there wasn't any detail there, and we had to continue. We had to add some things. Just to your point, Chris, is when you take the panels off, what's under there? What's on the back of the panel? I mean, literally, we took all those things into consideration and just making sure that almost no surface is untouched. I shouldn't say almost. I should say all surfaces have some type of detail added to them, which is cool. It's something that we made sure really to follow in the footsteps of the barge. It was that thing, as the team mentioned earlier, it's super detailed. So this just, again, we're just trying to one up ourselves, and I think we've done a really amazing job.
Yeah. That's awesome. All righty. So our next image, these are the final images that we're going to share, the final two. So you can prepare yourself emotionally that these are the last images. But basically, there's no new features here. This is basically an exploded view from the back. And again, we wanted to show this because, Vintage Collection, it's, one of our fan-focused lines. It's all about that detail. It's not just kind of a shell of a vehicle. There's so much going on here. It shows the incredible complexity of the vehicle. And we have another exploded view from the front that Chris Rice is going to tell us about.
Yeah, and like you guys can see, like this thing is just over the top in how complex and detailed it is. And like even now, like I find myself not looking at the camera and talking to you, but looking at the pictures on my screen, because even though I'm immersed in this thing day to day, like I still love looking at this thing in all this detail. Yeah. And here, like you can see, like even we've got the engine pods and wing pods coming off, and part of that's for packaging, but also it's a great way to even explore more detail in there. So even on those surfaces where those wing pods come off, we've got interfaces in there that are detailed out with more like hoses and wires and panels and stuff in there. But that thing also has the added benefit. We're really concerned about displayability of these things. So the ability to put this on a shelf, just like the barge, I mean, that's part of the concern with this, is it needs to be displayable for you. So even being able to pull off the engine on the back side still lets you fit this thing on a normal size shelf. So it's really a kind of a labor of love for us. Like this thing, like Chris said, it's a lot of work, but man, we enjoy every hose and tube and rivet we put on these things. So, I mean, that is our final image, but I think you guys can see, like, we worked really hard to leave no surface untouched, like Chris said. So there's hidden details everywhere on this thing that we haven't even touched on yet. But so I guess that's our second HasLab, second Star Wars
awesome.
HasLab.
Cool. Yep. So we can take that image off and go just to our handsome faces. So fans, all of those images on the video will be on the HasLab site, so you can check them out there. But just one quick note, I'm getting a live information. There are some issues with that HasLab site, which obviously is never the intent, but we've got a wonderful team racing to fix those. So please check back soon. Just kind of keep refreshing. And thanks in advance for your patience. We will definitely get that fixed soon because we're all excited about fans being able to get this item. So that's it for the images, but some key details here. So the price was at the end of that video, but if you didn't have eagle eyes and didn't catch it, it's $350, $349.99. So it's less than the barge, which is fantastic. It's a little smaller, but the barge was fantastic. It was a great campaign. We certainly wanted to deliver this amazing vehicle, so iconic with the entertainment, at a slightly lower price. So that's the price. The estimated ship date is at the end of 2021. So it's on similar timing as the barge. As I'm sure you recall, the barge launched at New York Toy Fair in 2018, and then it shipped out in 2019 in March and April. So this will be on similar timing. So the backer count. So we need 6,000 backers by November 9th. We're confident on you guys. You guys really drove the barge campaign, and we're sure you'll do the same thing here, and we'll reach that backer goal. I will say again, November 9th. So that deadline is November 9th. There's no exceptions. Again, we're confident this campaign's going to go like gangbusters, but either way, That cutoff point is November 9th. So set your calendars. That's it. You've heard it here. I'm committing to it. There we go. And there will be stretch goals. So again, kind of at Hasbro, there's a tradition of teams building on each other. So Star Wars was super excited to launch the first HasLab, but Marvel had a great campaign where they introduced stretch goals. So we're taking a page from their book. We will have stretch goals that will unlock starting at 8,000 backers. And we will say those stretch goals are like what the yak face was for the barge. So in terms of hitting 6,000 backers, you've seen the whole offering. That's it. That's what will get us to 6,000. And then again, those stretch goals will unlock at 8,000 backers, which is exciting. So one more quick note, we're working with our partners in other markets. We want to bring this item to as many fans as possible. So we are working with those other partners. So we're fairly confident that we will have that coming out for those partners in other markets in the coming, it'll be, pretty soon in the coming days or weeks. And we're hopeful that those fans will help us reach our 6,000 backer goal. So one final detail, obviously if you've seen this vehicle, I'm sure you're excited, but you may be wondering where the figures are to interact with it. Right now in the vintage collection, we have a few Mandalorian figures. So we don't have any other figures to reveal today. But we are willing to say that if this thing funds, by the time it ships next year in 2021, there's a pretty good bet that we will have nearly all the figures that interact with it in the line. So, if this thing funds, just like we did with Jabba's sail barge, we kind of built a line around that, and we'll do the same thing here. So we're excited about seeing this fund and then building out a whole Mandalorian, segment of our vintage collection. So that's it. This was fantastic. Chris and Chris, it was great to be with you guys. Fans, you're going to be seeing a lot of Chris Reif and I over the next few weeks. We're excited to come back with you guys today. But until then, the Haslab Vintage Collection Razor Crest, this is the way. So check out that website as soon as it's up, and we're excited to see you in a bit. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Thanks, everyone.
I'm just a simple man trying to make my way in the universe.